Welcome to the Cold War Football Manager 2016 experiment. Some of you may remember back in the summer I did some Football Manager experiments on FM15 where we saw the likes of San Marino, Indonesia, China, India fighting it out to try and win the World Cup on the game. Now I used the editor and the in-game editor to influence those sides, those countries, to see if I could improve them and then holiday into the future to see if they could eventually win a World Cup or become a dominant side in the world. There was some success involved in that, and I'm going to be doing something similar in this experiment. They were popular, people have been asking for them to come back, and what I'm going to do today is do USA versus Russia. So the Cold War, we're bringing back the Cold War, and I'm going to see if either USA or Russia can win the World Cup. In this part one, I'll probably holiday a couple of World Cups, so up to the end of 2022. And if this is popular, if you guys want more parts, then hit that like button and I will happily go further into the future to see if you're saying Russia can develop their nations in terms of footballing ability, produce wonderful wonder kids who can go on to become star players in the future, and also improve the clubs and the league reputations of the MLS and the Russian leagues as well. So to start with, I'm going to show you what I have done in the editor, the Football Manager 2016 editor behind the scenes, and I'm also going to use the in-game editor throughout this experiment. Maybe we'll change a few things as we go through into the future, but currently what I've done on the pre-game editor, on the free version of the editor, I've basically improved the youth rating of USA and Russia. They both have 200. Now I may improve these other things like adaptability over time as well to see if that has an impact on USA and Russia producing better youth players. But that's all I've done in terms of the overall nation. But both leagues, MLS and the Russian Premier Division, I have also improved. I've improved the teams within the top divisions in USA and Russia. Obviously on the game, on the official FM16 game, there's only the MLS in America loaded. In Russia there's, I think, 2 leagues loaded. So what I've done to every team in the MLS is I've made them rich. I've given them a huge bank balance and a sugar daddy, front-end sugar daddy as well. And I've also improved the facilities. So I've improved training facilities to maximum, youth facilities, junior coaching and youth recruitment as well. So they're all at the maximum of 20. Now this should hopefully mean that these teams will produce much better young players and in theory improve the team. They will have a better chance of winning competitions or improving the players coming through in America, and then that will in turn improve the national team. So I've done exactly the same for Russia. If we look here, generated players 200, and then we'll have a look at a couple at Zenit, and you can see that facilities maxed out to 20, finances also very high. And be interesting to see what happens to these teams and if the reputation of the Russian Premier Division, for example, can improve above the likes of, because they're currently below the Ukraine Premier League for some reason in terms of European reputations. The top one is Spanish La Liga, we've got English Premier Division and German First Division. Can the Russian Premier Division make its way up there as the players get better, as the national team gets better? Perhaps they will attract more players to the Russian Premier Division as well with all the money involved. Obviously there's a lot of rich Russian teams anyway, but I've basically made every single Russian Premier Division side rich. So we'll see if that has an impact on Europe. So in this first part I'm going to holiday to the end of the 2018 World Cup and then the end of the 2022 World Cup, just to see how both Russia and USA get on in those World Cups. And we'll have a look at the youth players and the teams and see who's developing. So if you think this is a great idea, please hit that like button. That'd be much appreciated, just to show that you want some more parts to this and I can holiday quite far into the future. I've got plans to do other countries as well, but I've got lots of exciting plans for different experiments over the next few weeks and months. Let's Play series wise, the GJ Challenge is slowly progressing, I guess, and that won't be quite as in the forefront for the time being. I'm waiting for a new computer to arrive, and my current computer is just ridiculously slow at the moment for doing Let's Plays and recording them at the same time. So that's why the GJ Challenge isn't really coming out at the moment. But I thought I'd pass the time with some experiments. So here we go. This is the first one of 2016. I hope you enjoy it. So I've holidayed into 2019. So the 2018 World Cup, you'll see at the top here, holders Argentina. They beat Spain 2-0 in the final. Messi scoring, so he's finally managed to get a World Cup medal. But you can see here the hosts, Russia, finished third in their group. They couldn't beat the likes of Uruguay and Holland to get out of their group. And USA also finished third, only just below Belgium though, who also got 4 points. Cameroon also going through from that group. So Russia and USA a little bit unfortunate to not get out of their groups. You can see here Russia have actually gone down from their initial world ranking. We saw them in 28th at the start of the experiment, and over the last 4 or 5 years they've dropped down to 37th as it stands. The lowest they've been though is 60th. They've really had a hard time. They have been up as high as 24th, you can see there, but they've certainly had problems, to say the least. I'm guessing you're interested to see who's actually in the Russian team at the moment. This is the squad. If we have a look at some of their younger players though, these are the regens that have come through and have broken into the first team, the Russian first team. So this guy's striker, Evgeny Zakharov, I'm probably going to mess up big time on pronunciations by the way, so I do apologise in advance. So he's actually classified as a wonder kid. He's got 4 goals in 11 games for Russia already at the age of 18. Let's have a look at his attributes, and using the in-game editor you can see he's got a potential ability of 170. His current ability is already 141, so he's a decent player already and could potentially become a really top quality player for Russia. Currently playing for Dynamo Moscow. He's moved around a bit though. He started at Dynamo Moscow, then went to Lokomotiv Moscow for 24.5 million, and then Dynamo Moscow bought him back for 21.5 million. That's quite bizarre. They've actually Lokomotiv Moscow actually made a loss on him by selling him back, which is a bit strange. I don't know why that happened. Let's just have a look at Dynamo Moscow then and see. They've got a good thing to look at in these sort of experiments is to look at the hot prospects. So let's look at Igor Morozov, who is a defensive midfielder, 18 years old. He's the hot prospect of the team apparently, but he's actually got a much worse potential ability than our star striker, which is strange. But I'm sure there's lots of decent young players being produced by Russia now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few years. We just go back to Russia and then look at the Russian Premier Division. That it has gone up to 6th in the European reputation rankings. It's moved above the Ukraine and Portuguese Premier League. They're now just below Ligue 1 in France. And you can see here Zenit have been dominant. Cska Moscow won the 2015-16 league title, but Zenit have won the last 3. So let's have a quick look at Zenit. They've got Frank de Boer in charge now, and the hot prospect is Filip Kozlov, a 19-year-old striker. Let's just have a quick look at him then. He's got only 149 potential ability. 149 is still a decent player though at this level, so he could become a strong player for Russia. He's actually got 2 goals in 3 games for the Russian first team, so they obviously rate him high enough to get into the Russian national team at the moment. So let's look at USA then. They're actually currently higher in the world rankings than Russia. They're up to 27th in the world rankings. You can see Argentina are at the top there as you'd expect. They've just won the World Cup. But USA up in 27th, quite a few places above Russia in 37th as it stands. The highest they've been, I think, is 20th. Yeah, 20th. And the lowest they've been is 37th, which is where Russia are at the moment. So they're doing pretty well. They've got some top players playing in Europe at the moment. Emerson Heineman, a real-life 23-year-old. But we'll have to have a look at the youth players coming through in a second. But let's look at the top team at the moment, apparently, is Sporting Kansas City. And they're rich because we've made them rich. A good national reputation, 3-star reputation. Jeremy Shaw is their player to watch out for in the future. 21-year-old enthusiastic striker. The game's referring him to as, and he's got a potential of 121, which is pretty low. That would probably be a championship level club in England would have a 121 current ability player. But this guy's a regen as well, and he's their key player, Chris Thompson, who is a right back. He's very good mentally and physically, technically pretty poor. Hasn't broken into the national team for America yet, but let's just have a quick look at him. He's got a better potential actually, 131, so there's certainly some players with a little bit of potential, but I was hoping for a bit more. Toronto FC, Roberto Pineda is the key player to watch out for in the future. Age 21, he's American rather than Canadian, and he has a potential of 121 as well. So USA currently not producing the best players in the world, although if we have a look at the maybe senior squad and see the youth players in the team. So there's a few youngsters in the United States first team. Guillermo Guerrero is the youngest, 19-year-old wonder kid, 1 goal in 3 games for USA, and he is clicking on the wrong thing here. He has a potential of 179, so that's really, really high. 140 current ability. He could be a real star. Where's he been? He's at Sporting actually. He started at Sounders Academy before moving to Seattle in the MLS, then Vancouver, and now he's moved to Sporting on a free. And last season for the B team managed to get 6 goals and 8 sub appearances for them. That's pretty good, but didn't break into the first team, or hasn't broken into the first team thus far. But he looks like a really, really good player, so high hopes for him. There's a few other 21-year-olds in there. I don't know if they're real players, or I hope they are regens. This guy's Kevin Acosta's got 21 appearances for USA already and 7 goals as well. He's got pace and stamina and good crossing ability as well, which is what you'd want from a winger. 173 potential ability, already at 157. He's a really good player actually, playing for Real Madrid, and has actually already managed to get 5 first team appearances under his belt this season, or last season, and a couple of assists as well, so he's doing really well. This guy's good. Wow, we've got a Real Madrid player in there. Should have noticed that actually. You can see all the teams that the Americans are currently playing for just there. If we just have a look at some of the other competitions, you can see USA finished, they lost in the quarter-final of Copa America against Peru. Argentina went on to win that competition as well, 2-1 against Venezuela in the final. Let's just see if there's anything else. Gold Cup 2019, 4th in their group, so they failed to get out of their group in the Gold Cup 2019 anyway. Oh no, wait, it hasn't started yet, has it? What am I talking about? It's going to start. They are in Group A, so they've got a chance. They've got a real chance of winning that competition. Surely, one of the favourites to win that. Anything else going on? Confederation Cup, I don't think they took part in recently. So that's about it thus far. Just realised I forgot to look at the European Championship for Russia as well. Belgium won it in 2016, but Russia actually lost in the second round against Germany, I think. Yeah, 3-1 in extra time. So they did pretty well in that. They got through to the second round. Bit of an improvement, I guess, on recent times for Russia. But let's have a look at the end of the 2022 World Cup then, and see if Russia and USA have made more progress. So here we go, it's August the 1st, 2022, and as you can see, France beat Spain in the 2022 World Cup final, held in Morocco. 2-1 win in the final, so Spain have lost 2 finals in a row. Pretty unlucky for them, actually. Just have a look at the competition history. You can see Argentina won it last time, Spain runners up, France third, France, Spain, Argentina. They've just swapped around, haven't they? That's quite weird, actually. So how did Russia and USA get on in the group stage then? Let's have a quick look. Russia may not even have qualified. I'm assuming USA have qualified. It's nearly impossible for them not to qualify from the North American group stages. But let's have a look down the list. I can't see Russia at the moment. USA finished third in their group again, once again missing out based on goal difference. They managed to get 3 points, but Ukraine qualified. Russia did not qualify for the 2022 World Cup, so they've actually gone backwards. You can see here, USA have been very high in the world rankings, up as high as 6th. They've dropped down to 18th after their poor World Cup and unable to get out their group, but really, really high world ranking for America. Up in 6th place, currently in 18th, like I said. But still, they're really, really doing very well. Just not quite doing it in the World Cup. So let's have a look at some of the players again, and some of the clubs as well, to see the improvement in the clubs thanks to the changes I've made using the editor. You can see there's a few youngsters, a couple players aged 21, but a lot of our regens will now be up to the age of 24, 25, I guess. This is the youngest player in the squad, got a potential of 132, he's almost reached that already. And the other 21-year-old, Dave Hoyt, who has a potential of 159, he's already reached that. He's a good player actually, good winger, has 2 goals in 9 caps for USA. Let's look at the best. Who's the top? Let's look at the top players in America. That's probably the best thing to do. So Emerson Heineman, who's a real life player, 26 years old now, doing really well at Dortmund. Are there any young regens in here? Just have a look. Oh, Kevin Acosta, he's the Real Madrid guy. Let's look at him. So he's got 18 goals in 55 games for America, still playing at Real Madrid. So let's have a look at him now. He's not playing a huge number of games, admittedly. However, he's still playing a handful of games and doing quite well average rating wise, but he is basically a substitute for Real Madrid, so perhaps he needs to move on to further his club career. He's doing very well internationally though, as you can see there. And this is the other youngster we looked at last time, now aged 22, 38 goals in 44 games for USA. That is an incredible record. Playing for Sporting, he's a top class player for them as well. 20 goals in 26 games a couple seasons ago, and then last year he managed to score 32 goals in 45 appearances in all competitions. He is a goal scorer, to say the least. So apparently the top club in America at the moment is New York or Houston. Well, there's a few teams with 3-star reputation. Pretty much all the MLS teams have, well, they do, in fact, they all have 3-star reputations, so they're pretty equal looking at them all. But let's look at Houston. Charlie Hill is their top prospect at the moment, 21 years old. He is not great. Surely better players around than him. If we have a look at the USA youth team, I guess that's probably the best thing to look at. So if we go to the under-20s and have a look at some of these players, see that the biggest value player, not sure why that filter isn't working, but this guy, Alan Torres, worth 1.3 million at the age of 18. Perhaps he's going to be a star. Let's have a look at his potential. 187. Wow, he definitely is going to be a star. Well, not definitely, but he's certainly got the potential to be one of the best players in the world. So we have to watch out for him in the future. 18 years old, currently playing for Columbus on loan. He plays in Mexico. Started at FC Dallas, but wow, we have to watch out for him. He's a midfielder or attacking midfielder centre, and he has potential to be a real star. Let's look at the under-21 and under-23 team. There's only one player in there, Danny James, 23 years old. Looks okay. 119 current ability, 181 potential. However, he's not going to reach that. He's 23, so he certainly had potential to be a real world-class player, but he's not managed to get that far, and he's not going to grow much more now that he's at the age of 23, currently playing for Vancouver. In terms of Major League Soccer, the division is still below the first division in Mexico. It has stayed second the whole time, so it still needs to improve to get above the Mexican Premier League or first division. I suppose the problem is, in America there are certain rules, and you've got a draft system which may prevent it from reaching really, really top level football. But we'll have to see what happens in the future of this experiment. So Russia then, currently 28th in the world. They've got Michael Laudrup in charge. They have been as high as 24th over the course of the last few years, but they have stagnated and they didn't get to the last World Cup, remember. I forgot to look at USA and the other competitions. We'll go back to that in a second. But yeah, failed to qualify for the World Cup. And let's just go down. Confederations Cup, in 2017 they got through to the Confederations Cup, but they finished 4th in that competition. And in 2020 in the European Football Championship they finished 4th in their group, which was won by Spain overall in the end on penalties against Denmark in the final. Probably that's it in terms of this is the World Cup qualification. They finished 4th in their group, which is why they failed to qualify. And then there's the International League. You may know about this new competition that started. We've seen France and Germany win it so far, so Russia haven't been particularly successful in that so far. Looking at the Russian Premier Division as a whole, It's actually 3.5-star reputation, but it's dropped below the Portuguese Premier League the last 3 seasons, so that's a little bit disappointing. But let's have a look at some of their clubs. Cska Moscow, currently the top team in Russia, 4-star national reputation. Finances insecure. What's going on there? Because we gave them lots of money to start with. Have they spent it unwisely? The bank balance is pretty big, 42 million, but they've not got a sugar daddy anymore, so that could be a problem. Do I give them another one? I probably shouldn't. I mean, you guys in the comment section below, maybe let me know what you would like me to edit further in game to perhaps push Russia and USA to that next level. They're fighting out this Cold War where they've not actually, I don't think they've played each other yet. Just like in the real Cold War, they didn't fight each other in terms of a war. They fought through other nations, didn't they? And this is sort of what's going on here, I guess, trying to get world domination but not actually fighting it out with each other, doing it in footballing terms. A football Cold War, that's what it is. Facilities wise, they're still pretty strong for Cska Moscow, so I'm not really sure what's going on with their finances. They've suffered anyway, maybe because their sugar daddy left. This guy is the best rated young player at Cska Moscow, 177 potential ability, certainly has potential to be a star player. Let's look at the senior squad. The youngest player in the team, they've got quite a few 21-year-olds in there. Let's just have a look at the player that this guy, 21 years old, Islam Abekarov, is worth 17.75 million. Plays for Real Madrid. This guy's going to be good. 158 potential, he's already reached that, so perhaps not necessarily amazing or world class, but he is at Real Madrid, moved for 27.5 million. He's already been transferred a fair few times in his career, and he's only 21. This guy's also worth quite a bit. 4 goals in 6 games for Russia at the age of 21, and he has a potential of 155. I'm just going to look at the highest valued player in Russia. I can't seem to filter. I don't know what's broke. Something weird has happened with the filter. I think this guy's the highest guy. 22-year-old left back, 34 caps for Russia already, and worth 19 million. 161 current and potential abilities already reached that. So the Russian players are certainly reaching their potential at quite an early age, actually. So the youth facilities, training facilities at the clubs are definitely working. Okay, I've gone back to USA just to look at their achievements. They did in fact win the Gold Cup in 2019. They beat Mexico in the final, but Costa Rica won the last one. If we just look at a few other things, Copa America, they've not taken part in another one, but they've won a Gold Cup, so that's decent. Confederations Cup, they finished 3rd in the most recent Confederations Cup behind Argentina and Spain, so that's pretty good. So they've certainly been pretty successful, and out of the 2 nations, Russia and USA, I'd say they're the most successful. They've got a couple of really outstanding world-class or potential world-class players coming through the ranks in the next few years. Russia have a few good young players as well. Let me know in the comment section below who you think will be the most successful team. Who's going to win the World Cup first? Who's going to win the Cold War, I guess, in this experiment? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you want to see a few more parts, part 2, part 3, etc. And I'll go as far into the future as you want me to. I guess we can go until we see one of these either get to first in the world rankings or possibly even win the World Cup. I really hope so, because in previous experiments I've had to intervene quite a bit to get nations to be really high, and I've not actually interfered apart from changing the youth rankings and the clubs, obviously. I've had to interfere in some way, that's the whole point of the experiment, but I haven't had to interfere with anything else so far using the in-game editor, but I may change things up as we go through the years. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you hopefully in part 2. Bye.